Welcome to Introduction to Philosophy, Summer 2021. What a year. This class is an introduction to philosophy, and first we're going to start off by talking about what philosophy is, and the class will move and start with what is philosophy and then move through the various chapters. The various chapters are about different topics. Philosophy is itself the study of thought and beliefs, and the systematic thought of beliefs and the history of those thoughts and beliefs. And we'll do a little bit of both, and all of these actually. But we're going to be doing it at a quick pace because this class starts June 2nd and ends around July 26th, 27th, if I remember. The first thing you should do is download the syllabus. It has all the relevant information. It talks about the presentation. It talks about the paper. It talks about the discussion boards. It talks about how the class will work. It talks about all the class policies. And the last page of it is, in fact, a schedule. But we're just going to do each chapter. We're going to basically start with the first week and start with the prologue this particular week. And the prologue is an introduction to what philosophy is into logic, not math, just logic. The first chapter is a set of 16 thought experiments that you will answer in your journal. Let me talk about your journal because people forgot last semester. This is simply a file you keep on the computer. You can keep it as a running Google Doc, a running SharePoint document, a file on your computer where you answer opening and closing questions each chapter in your philosophy textbook has. You will turn these in at the end of the semester for a grade. So you don't want to forget to do these. These are a way of reviewing and setting up what you're going to learn and then seeing if afterwards you still feel the same way. Philosophy is about learning new ideas and opening your mind up to new things. So these questions kind of start you thinking, here's where I am. Then you read the chapter and watch some of the videos I have. And then answer the closing questions, and those maybe you haven't gone very far, you may have changed your mind, or you may no longer know. Because one of the first things I'm going to tell you about philosophy, I used to say it was all about the shades of gray. Because it is. It's about how there's a lot of space between the black and whites that we usually think about. And there's no straight right answers. It's how well you explain. But it is. It's about that gray space or that rainbow space, whatever way you want to think about it. It's about all these different ideas people have and how well they explain and articulate them in ways that we can understand. And I'm not going to say prove, but make a case for. And we will talk about some things that are not comfortable. We will talk about your belief in God, if you believe in God. And it is perfectly fine in this class to believe in the traditional God. It is also fine to not believe in any God, or if you wish to believe in a flying pasta spaghetti God or whatever, the pastafarian people. Our class is not about judging what you believe in the sense that it's right or wrong. It's about you being able to explain, articulate, and pull in a system. It's very possible to have ideas that seem contradictory, but for you are able to reconcile them. And that's one of the things philosophy is all about. So we're going to try to look at these things. We are going to talk about rough topics. We're going to start, as I said, with what philosophy is in logic in the prologue to your book. The first chapter is about philosophical questions. The second goes to the meaning of life. And there is a natural progression. Here's what we think about. Here's the meaning of life. From the meaning of life, we discuss God. And you could flip those, I guess, but our authors go from the meaning of life to God. Your belief in God is going to reflect in your belief in reality, which is the fourth chapter. The fifth chapter, excuse me, is about knowledge. The sixth is about self. The seventh is about freedom. The eighth is about morality. The ninth is about justice. The 10th chapter is about art. And then the last chapter is kind of this catch-all chapter where the book talks about indigenous philosophy, African philosophy, Eastern philosophy, Hinduism, and a whole bunch of other ism kind of philosophies that aren't Western, because this class is focused in Western philosophy. And as we learn, that's a lot as it is. Eastern, indigenous, African philosophies are, are being finally recognized as influential and feminist, but this book is about the tradition we come from, and that tradition is skewed. I'm going to tell you right now, our book is heavily male in who it studies, and heavily white. That's Western culture to some extent, for good or for bad. We will look at that, and we can raise those issues, and I think we'll pull in some other opinions as we go, because there are certainly other views than Western ones, and we will try to talk about those. But the class runs fast. It is only 8 weeks, so we will do the first chapter, the introduction, this week to get everybody settled and started, and then next week we'll do chapters 1 and 2, and we're going to do 2 chapters a week. 1 and 2, then 3 and 4, then 5 and 6, then 7 and 8, 9 and 10, and in chapter 11 is the last one. There are folders in Blackboard for each week. The folders are going to contain PowerPoint, and there are 2 PowerPoints. One has a narration, and one is just a plain PowerPoint, so that if you want to print that off and then listen to the narration and write notes, that's fine. Taking notes is very useful. It is a good skill to develop. We all take notes to remind ourselves, so it can be helpful, and I've given you this. I've given you an article or some studies on why you should take notes, and I think I have an outline for you, but you can certainly just scribble notes on the PowerPoints. You do not have to listen to the narration if you don't want to hear my lovely voice. That's fine. Each folder should have an introductory video, shorter than this one, just to get you going. Then a whole bunch of videos, not made by me, but by other sources, from Crash Course to Philosophy Tube to several other philosophy video channels on YouTube, to help you get these ideas and to give you some different perspectives. Then in each folder there is a test. It is a multiple choice test on the information in the chapter in the book. All the rest of the material flows into the other link, which is the discussion board link. And your discussion boards are all posted. You can work kind of at your own pace, but you do have, you got to have other classmates to comment on. I'll talk about discussion boards in a second. So each folder is set up by chapter, and I'm going to put chapter and week on there, but I'm going to be flexible with deadlines because we are moving fast, and some people will have may have to skip a deadline or be late. The only deadlines that are set in concrete are the ones at the end of the summer session, by which point you'll be sick of philosophy anyway. Now, the work for this class is not tremendous, but there are 11 chapters, so there are 11 chapter tests. There are 11 discussion boards. Well, yeah, there might be 12 discussion boards. Maybe an even dozen. That's part of your grade. They're the journals, which I mentioned. There will also be a PowerPoint presentation, which you will download the directions, but basically it's pick one of these schools from the underrepresented people in Chapter 11 and make a PowerPoint about it. And I have a couple samples I will put up, and I will maybe explain what's good about those. But basically the directions are fairly clear and set out for you. There will be a rubric. You will also write, as your final capstone for the class, there's no final exam, there's this paper. This paper is your worldview paper, and you will want to pull from your discussion boards, you want to pull from those journals, because basically you are writing your world philosophy, your worldview at this point in time. So it is a snapshot. It is not going to require any research. It should probably be around 4 to 6 pages, though it can go longer. It should not be shorter. I'm going to assume you are all very complicated people. We all are. But mostly it's a lot of interaction in our discussion board. So let me talk a little bit about those. And I'm trying to keep this as short as possible, but I seem to be going long. So, discussion boards. There is a netiquette guide. This is how I want you to behave. It's in the syllabus and it's posted on the discussions. Each week's discussion, you will need to make a post. It should be about 200, 300 words, answering the topic. Then you are going to be required to respond to 2 of your classmates with at least 75 words. Those 75 words should not ever fall into the category simply of, oh, hey, so-and-so, I agree with you. That is not a conversation. That is useless. That's nice. Who cares that you agree with them? Tell them exactly what you're agreeing with. Ask them some questions about what they're saying to clarify, because there's always going to be clarification needed. Have a conversation with your response. Don't simply go, oh, hey, great post, I agree. That's going to lose you points. You will not get credit for those at all. And you need to have 3 posts for each discussion board. Now, I will end up dropping the 2 lowest discussion board questions. I'll probably drop at least 1 low test grade. So there are safety nets. But you need to do this work. Not passing this class is primarily caused by not following directions and not doing work. So let me get that into you right now. Do your work. Turn in stuff. It's the best thing. The deadlines, as I said, are going to be loose to some extent because it is summer and people are working, and it's time management is time management. But try not to get too far behind. It is a bear to get all caught up. I'm going to let you go and ponder what the bleep you've gotten into. Read the syllabus and post in the introductions a little introduction about yourself. Who you are, where you are, what you're doing, what you think your major is. Just so you are as real to us as you are to yourself. If anybody's real at all. Enjoy all the headaches that are to come. No, philosophy's fun. I think so, at least. Have a good summer. Enjoy the class. Nice to meet you.